since we only have a few minutes left and you mentioned banking, I do want to ask you about the Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank situation.
That'll teach me to bring up an outside.
But are you pleased with how the administration has handled SVB's collapse?
I am overall. I mean, there are lots of questions that have to be asked, but I think, and another senator, actually Elizabeth Warren, when I talked to her on Saturday, and she described, I don't want to take this out of context, but it was a longer conversation, but she said that people's deposits in banks is much different than the equity that a bank has, the owners of a bank own. And when banks make bad decisions on their investments, certainly that risk, the people that invested in that bank, that own the stock in the bank, that run the bank, when they make a terrible decision, they should suffer the consequences. So this isn't a bailout by any sense of the word. But I think that the deposits that people and businesses make in banks like SVB are of a more important nature. And Elizabeth said that she looked at it as part of the infrastructure of business, that deposits and the security that people believe deposits should have are what create the system of trust that allow our banking system and our economic system to function. So the fact that the White House moved so quickly and that all the different agencies of the federal government, from the Federal Reserve, the Council of, go down the whole list. I won't list them all, the different players, but they all worked together, and by Sunday morning, or maybe Sunday afternoon, maybe Sunday night. I don't want to get in the middle of their making sausage, but the bottom line is that they got to a solution that really does protect that trust that people need to believe in their deposits in their banks, so they're not constantly running and trying to pull it out and put it somewhere else.
Does Congress need to do anything? Does it need to react, shore up those regulations?
So the first thing that had to happen was we had to make sure that we rebuilt the trust that people have in our system. And I think this is a good start. Obviously, there's uncertainty today. The issues around Credit Suisse are concerning to everybody, that this trust, we're all interconnected around the globe now. So we've got to recognize that and make sure that we rebuild that trust. But on top of that, I think we have a real opportunity here to study what happened. Once again, go back and look at this near catastrophic failure that we've avoided and say, all right, what are the regulations that we should have in place? Do we need to look at smaller banks and make sure that they have enough security so that they don't risk, again, a run on their deposits like we saw with SVB? Mm-hmm. The key here is that we want a banking system. Banks have got to make money. They're businesses. And I don't think the federal government's going to be able to backstop every deposit in every category. But we have to look at, in those times of risk, how do we create enough security so people will leave their money in their banks and allow it to be part of that infrastructure that allows every small business to operate.